Welcome to Washington in Focus. I am Jeremy Lott. Joining me today is the Center Square's State House reporter, Brett Davis. Brett, I want to tell a story in 3 headlines. The first one is Police Pursuit Reform Bill skids off the road in Washington State House. The second one is, with Washington House bill broken down, Senate passes police pursuit reform. The third is, road ahead, unclear for police pursuit reform in Washington Legislature.
We really enjoy our car metaphors, don't we?
Yes, we do. We enjoy our car metaphors. What is happening with police pursuit reform in our legislature this week?
Well, we thought House Bill 1363 was going to pass out of the House, but it never even got a floor vote on Wednesday before the 5 p.m. cutoff deadline to get non-budgetary bills out of their chamber of origin. And the day before, Democrats had flat out refused to allow a full floor debate on the budget. And that's where everyone had expected it was actually going to pass. But that's not what happened. I believe you wrote a story about what actually happened in the Senate.
Before we get there, I want to be clear. This was, how do I put this? This was the bill that they were thinking about passing in the House would be what you would call the light beer of police reform. Okay. They had a more thoroughgoing version, and the scuttlebutt was this is too radical to get through the Senate, which wasn't, they were refusing to even have hearings on this in the Senate. So let's pass a stripped down version and we'll pass it through the House and get it out of this chamber by the cutoff date, which was Wednesday. Then the Senate will eventually take it up. That was kind of the story that we were hearing. That was not true.
A monkey wrench was thrown into that. So surprisingly, the Senate ended up passing that bill you talked about, Senate Bill 5352. And like you mentioned, a lot of folks were really surprised at that because it was Senator Dhingra who actually offered up an amended version of that bill.
Yeah, she offered what's called a striker amendment that effectively creates a new version.
Which was very surprising because in the past, she'd been pretty adamant about the fact that this bill would not get a hearing in her Law and Justice Committee that she's the chair of. So almost everyone was surprised. I know I was.
I think part of it followed on, though. I do think that it's a connected thing because the previous weekend you'd had this knockdown, drag-out fight on a Friday night over the fix for the Blake decision, with Dhingra warring with a lot of other senators, and then eventually voting against legislation that she had sponsored.
Right. Sometimes hard to keep track of.
I think that this was a little bit of her. This is my speculation. I could be full of garbage, but I think that this was her trying to make nice after what had happened previously. But there were various theories about this that you covered actually in the third story in this, because it's unclear what's coming next. But you covered various press conferences, and one of the things they talked about is why she decided to do this, and what were the various theories that were thrown out about that.
So Republicans and Democrat leadership each had separate press conferences on what was going on, and at the Republican event, Senator Majority Leader John Braun basically said he thought the only reason Dhingra was involved in the process was because she was the chair, and Democrats were trying to respect their chair. He pointed out she'd been the person most responsible for not advancing the bill previously, so he was a little skeptical of her motivations.
No, I did like that formally, people who've never seen how these things are displayed on the Washington, Senate, the Washington Legislature website, that it's actually it takes a while to learn how to navigate all this, but they have a certain code for how they talk about things, and specifically the committee that she chairs was relieved of hearing the bill. That's how it was put. And when I read that, I started laughing, I'll be honest.
You got to like the diplomatic speak.
So there's another plot twist here, though, because the version that passed the Senate barely passed the Senate, right?
26-23.
Yeah, that's right. And that's very close to, because it's 49 total. I think they had one vote to spare there. And quite a few Republicans, including John Braun, who had pushed for police pursuit reform, ended up voting against it. So talk to me about that. I'm
going to need a map to keep track of this. People who were for things and they're against them, or they were against them before, now they're for them. So
yeah.
So I will have to delve more into that. Braun didn't think the bill went far enough, so it's my understanding that's why he voted against it. He thought it was too watered down.
He had commented to the Center Square that he and fellow Republicans were going to push for that. One of the things they were very, very worried about is auto theft and how police I can get into a car that is not mine and drive away and somebody can be running after it and saying, "Stop thief." And the police technically are not allowed to pursue that car under current law.
I had visions of that a few weeks ago when somebody tried to steal one of my cars.
Yeah, that's never fun. So, the Republicans have been saying, like, we need to be able to chase, car thieves. And that was not addressed in the final version of this bill, correct?
Correct. I was going to say it's not even clear if it's going to end up eventually passing the House. Senator Rep. Lori Jenkins, the Speaker of the House, talked about that a little bit, and she was kind of coy. She talked about, there are all kinds of different opinions on the bill, and we're going to follow a procedure, and we'll see what happens. So she didn't really commit to the bill passing.
Well, listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquared.com. For Brett Davis, this is Jeremy Lott. Please subscribe, and thanks for listening.